So our next section is molecular compounds. This is when we take a nonmetal and mix it with another nonmetal. We find all of these nonmetals on the right side of the periodic table. So if you look here, it'll be elements like carbon, nitrogen, phosphor, iodine, selenium, arsenic, and things like that. So all of our nonmetals we're gonna mix together. When we're gonna name them and also come up with a formula. We can do the naming first. So naming. When we name these compounds, we are going to use things that are called prefixes. So if you look here, we have a bunch of different prefixes. So 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. So we take the prefix plus the name of the element, and then we follow by the prefix plus the next element, and then we end in IDE. So if we take a compound that looks like N2O3, just like that. So N2O3, 2 we know is di from our table, and 3 we know is tri. So it's going to be di-nitrogen and then tri-oxide. So N is di, 3 is tri. Sorry, 2 is di, 3 is tri. N is nitrogen, 3 is oxygen, and we change the ending to oxide. Another example might be C4F. So C is carbon, F is fluorine, 4 is going to be tetra, and then there's no number beside the F, but it's assumed 1, and 1 is gonna be mono. So it's gonna be tetra, carbon, mono, fluoride. So the prefix is there, followed by the name, followed by the prefix, followed by the name, and then the ending always changing into IDE. Another example might be P9 and then Br7. So P is phosphorus, Br is bromine, 9 is nona, and 7 is hepta, again from this table here. So it's going to be nona, phosphorus, P-H-O-S, P-H-O-R-U-S, phosphorus, and then hepta, bromide. So again, bromine changes to bromide. So nona, phosphorus, hepta, bromide. One thing we have to watch out for is that when we have a 1 at the beginning, so if I give us S with a 1 and then Cl5, we don't call that monosulfur, we just call it sulfur. So whenever the 1 is at the beginning, we never put mono, it's always just the regular element. So this would be sulfur, and then 5 is going to be penta, and then Cl is chlorine. So sulfur, penta, chlorine changes to chloride. So sulfur, pentachloride. Coming up with the formulas is just as easy. So if I give us hexa, carbon, mono, iodide, like that, hexacarbon, monoiodide. We need to look at our prefixes to figure out what hexa is. Should be mono. Hexa is 6. Mono is 1. So, and carbon is C, and then iodide is iodine, which is an I. So that changes into C6, I with a 1. I'm gonna put that there. So heptacarbon monoiodide, C6, and then an I. So one thing we have to watch out for when we're naming these is not to double the vowels. So we can't have OO, OA, and AO. We can have IO. Okay. So this example here, we had an OI, that is okay. The O and the I together are okay. But we can never have an OO or an OA or an AO. So another example might be penta, nitrogen, pentanitrogen disulfide. So penta is 5, nitrogen is N, di is 2, sulfide is sulfur, which is S. So it becomes N with a 5, S with a 2. Penta, nitrogen, disulfide. So penta is 5 and it is attached to nitrogen, so the 5 goes on the N. Di is 2, which is attached to the sulfide, so the 2 goes on the S. One more example might be selenium. E-N, selenium. Trichloride, CHL, chloride. So since selenium doesn't have anything out front, that is assumed 1. So we don't put mono, but because there's nothing there, that is assumed 1. So it's selenium with a 1. Tri is 3, and chloride is chlorine, which is Cl. So selenium, which is Se with a 1, and then trichloride. So 3 on the chlorine atom.